What up, y'all? We got something special for you today. Angelo Roberts, a reputable from the early 90s, the youngest four-corner hustler in history. This man tried to wage war with the police using a rocket launcher. So check out this video. Stay tuned because I'll be back at the end to give my commentary on it. You know what I'm saying? As well as my knowledge about the situation.
Born on June 24th, 1970, in Chicago, Illinois, Angelo "Chief Lo" Roberts was raised in the notorious Henry Horner homes, just west of what now is the United Center. Roberts grew up in the heart of Chicago's near West Side. Beginning his career as a gangster stone, following in the footsteps of his father and uncles, Angelo will become a leader inside Henry Horner, even at a young age. As a teen, Angelo, or Lo as some would call him, will begin to date the daughter of Walter Wheat. Walter Wheat by that time was in his late 30s and one of the original founders of the Four Corner Hustlers. The Four Corner Hustlers was an organization that had broken off from the Vicelords in the late 60s and early 70s. Founded by Wheat, Marvin Evans, Freddie Gage, Richard Left Hand Goodman, and Monroe Money Banks, the Four Corner Hustlers originally claimed territory from Madison to Jackson and from Independence to Pulaski, hence the name Four Corners. By the late 1980s, Angelo Roberts, still only a teenager, had emerged as a prominent young gangster stone from Henry Horner. However, after being courted by Wheat in 1988, Angelo Roberts flipped to the Four Corner Hustlers, swaying their growing influence in Horner and nearby Rockwell Gardens. After Four Corner Hustler founding member Monroe Banks was killed in 1991, a leadership vacuum occurred, and Angelo Roberts, who now led the Four Corner Hustlers and Henry Horner, would eventually gain control. In June 1994, following Angelo's second prison sentence in only a few years, Roberts, some say, aimed to consolidate power, seeking full control of the Four Corner Hustlers and revenge against the police officers who twice locked them up. In late July 1994, a bicyclist would approach a car of the 43-year-old Walter Wheat, a founding member of the Four Corner Hustlers, while he sat inside. Witnesses claim the cyclist, later identified as 17-year-old Bobby Cooley, shot and killed Wheat, then fled, also being involved in a later shooting before being apprehended. Walter Wheat's death would shake the core of the Four Corner Hustlers. A towering founder of the gang, his murder raised more questions than answers. Many in the streets believe Angelo Roberts orchestrated Wheat's killing to solidify his claim as the new supreme leader, though no direct evidence ever surfaced. Whispers spread quickly in Horner and across the West Side. Roberts, already seen as ruthless and ambitious, was rumored to have grown tired of being seen as Wheat's protege rather than his peer. The timing of Wheat's death, just as Roberts was released from prison, only fueled those speculations. 2 months later, in October of 1994, news reports would claim Angelo Roberts, at the time only 24 years old, had attempted to purchase anti-tank rockets, along with several fully automatic M16 rifles and machine guns with silencers from undercover ATF agents. The ATF would allege Roberts and other members of the Four Corner Hustlers offered a quarter key of cocaine and $4,000 in return for the weapons. According to an October 1994 indictment, Roberts and 4 other gang members told the agents they planned to use the rocket to destroy the Harrison District Police Station. Roberts reportedly held a grudge against the police who had twice sent them to prison. Authorities claim Roberts was plotting an all-out war against the Chicago Police Department. Despite the operation, Roberts would evade capture on the day of the bust. On January 16, 1995, Angelo Chief Lo Roberts' body was discovered in the trunk of a car, frozen on Chicago's south side. At only 25 years old, Chief Lo, many believe, was cut down just as he got started. Immediately after his death, rumors of possible law enforcement involvement would surface, given Chief Lo was actively a fugitive from the Chicago Police Department after being charged with the purchase of those rocket launchers.
Yeah, that boy was hard to handle. Rest in peace, Angelo Roberts, Chief Lo. Now, a lot of people don't know, but he was raised the only man in his house, or in his life, in his early days, was his uncle, ex-Green Beret. And he was teaching him since childhood, since 3 years old. Hand-to-hand combat, self-defense, guerrilla warfare tactics, how to use a blade. These are things that Angelo was practically a master at by 13. So he was way above, you know what I'm saying, his level, or the level of other kids, his age. You know, he had the natural leadership ability because he was raised by an alpha male. You know what I mean? So he becomes a gangster stone Vicelord. This is who dominates the Henry Horner projects at that time. And Lo is notorious, is known around these projects. You know, he's putting in work as a gangster stone. And then the four corner hustler, Vicelords, begin to emerge or have emerged, and they start to dominate and they start to spread. And they become the dominant factor in the Henry Horner home. So it was not unusual in Chicago for dudes to flip. You know what I mean? Especially when they're dealing with nations that have to do with the same, as though they call it now, cars. You know, you're talking about two things that are under the five. And the gangster stone Vicelords and the four corner hustler Vicelords at that time. Now, a lot of people that I've talked to have said Angelo was on his law. He didn't allow anybody to break law. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't hesitate to call law, even on elites, chiefs. And during this time, you know, it's never been wise, or it's never been a thing that people would do, would to be call law on a chief. It's just not a popular thing to do because it can get you got, or so a lot of people thought. But Angelo, being, like I said, a little ahead of his time and good with his hands, were catching a lot of these chiefs lacking, as far as a lot of these chiefs during that time, they were in the leadership positions, but they weren't following law. A lot of them were on narcotics. A lot of them were doing things that the law said you weren't supposed to be doing. So when Angelo would run up on these dudes and they would hesitate, he would put their hands on them as a chief enforcer of the nation. You know what I'm saying? This made him a target. This did not make him popular amongst a lot of elites, amongst a lot of the older brothers. You understand me? But he was only able to do so much because he was still a chief enforcer. And unless Walter Wheat, you know what I'm saying, stepped down and allowed him to take a stronger position within the Four Corner Hustler Nation, or the Four Corner Hustler Vicelord Nation, then he would still be, you know what I'm saying, tied down. he still couldn't do a lot of the things that he would want to do. On top of that, the police, you got to understand, the almighty Vicelord nation is black mafia. Just like the Italian mob, just like Al Capone. You're talking about politicians, you're talking about connections that reach into City Hall, the local government, the police force. There's police that are almighty vice lords. You know, this was an organization, even though some structures and some levels of it appeared to be gang and criminal aspect, there was higher levels of this. Some say these police were leaning on low because low wasn't falling in line. The tops were trying to show him this is bigger than you. There's ways we can remove you. This infuriated Angelo, who tried to get the rocket launchers. He was going to go to war with the precinct. He was going to take over the nation. Walter Wheat wouldn't step down. Those that I've talked to his family, I've had the honor to talk to his family and those that were under him. And they tell me that Angelo was on some renegade shit. He was on some power and control. He talked to Shorty Lord into going and assassinating King Walter Wheat. He wanted to take over the nation of the Fords and be the supreme. They say he shot T-Fly of the Travelers in his ear. He had a couple other elites, attempts on their lives. It was a coup. He was shot in his arm when the Lords caught him. I forgot what they said they caught him. It was a gunfight. They hit him in his arm. I heard he went to Indiana for a minute, over in the Gary region. And then I think somebody talked him in to coming through. Or he called somebody that was loyal to the tops because he was finding that Trump. And he was popped with 4 different guns. That's ironic. 4 different guns. Rumors said it was the police because of the rocket attempt. Rumors said it was a violation. Rumors said it was the police that were used by the Lords to lean on Angelo. This made Angelo go crazy and say fuck the law and fuck the tops of the nation. And he started coming with this 4 fingers, no thumb, trying to separate the 4 VLs from the 5, from the Vicelord nation. But I'm sure everybody's got a different story. You know what I'm saying? Something similar here, something similar there. Thus goes the legend of Chief Low, of the Four Corner Hustlers. Some loved him, some hated him. But he'll still go down in this Vicelord Nation history. Hit that like and subscribe. Share this video. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified the next time we drop, man. Hope you enjoyed this video. And you know how we do it around here on the spot. Safety first.